Out front now, former Democratic and Independent Senator Joe Manchin. So, Senator, basically, he softened a little bit. You guys make the decisions, but but if you don't do it, he will. Sounds like a parent talking to kids. So, do you see any scenario where Elon Musk should be the final voice over cabinet secretaries in these cuts?
No. I think what I'm understanding is the president made some adjustments today. And here's the thing. If I was going to be a secretary for any president, Donald Trump or anyone else, I would say, tell me the job you want me to do. Tell me what you're trying to do in that agency and what your goals are. And I'll put a staff together and make it happen. And what they'll say is, well, we'll talk about that. And what they want to do, they want to put the people from the White House to watch over what you're doing so that you do what they want you to do. And I think he has a lot of strong-willed people in his cabinet are saying, wait a minute, I've been very successful in business. I've done pretty well in life. I can pick the right people. Tell me what you want.
I don't need Elon doing it.
Tell me what you need. And then we'll make the decisions. Now, if we don't, and there's waste and fraud and abuse that we don't get rid of, then bring Elon, bring anybody in. But I know some of the people he has, and they're good people. They can do their job. Let them do their job. And I think that's what they got through, and he's doing that.
So they did push back. Right? One of the fired workers was actually sitting where you were sitting right now a few days ago. Luke Graziani, 20-year Army veteran. He had done multiple tours two in Iraq, two in Afghanistan. And he got fired from Bronx Veterans Hospital. And 5 weeks before his probationary period ended. And again, I always want to say probationary, not because you're on probation, just because you hadn't been there that long.
I get you.
And here's something he said that actually really stood out to me. Here it is, Senator.
I'm very privileged to have the job that I have or had.
Yeah.
I very much would like to get back to it. I think no one deserves a job, but if they're willing to, raise their right hand and swear the oath and become a federal service employee, I think that they have every right.
So 1 in 3 federal workers are veterans. 70,000 workers from the VA are expected to lose their jobs. Senator, I know this is something you spent a lot of your career working with veterans. What do you think about that?
Aaron, let me just say, first of all, from the veterans, I have a state that's highly populated with veterans.
Yes.
We fought more wars and conflicts and shed more blood than most states have on a percentage basis. So the veterans care is very near and dear to me and all of us. And I'm just hopeful that they understand, the people that are depending on the care they've been receiving, that is not going to be deterred or basically reduced. Next of all, anybody that has a job, the greatest thing a person can have in life is the respect and dignity of a job to take care of yourself and support your family. And that should be taken with great, great, great concern and pride. And when you have to make adjustments and changes, make sure there's a soft landing, make sure there's something else, try to help. And that's all I'm saying. A little bit of empathy would help an awful lot.
Yeah.
And there's been changes in government before. There's fraud, waste, and abuse. There's a way to go through that. It might take a little bit longer. They want to do things very, very much up front. But you understand there's going to be a correction. Either this is the right thing, the way to do it, or it's not going to be the right way. The big correction comes on the midterms, the 2026 elections.
Right.
So I think you've seen President Trump. He makes adjustments pretty quick. If something's not working, he'll come back. And he's not afraid to come back and do something different, such as tariffs, Canada and...
Well, they're on, they're off, they're on, they're off. I mean, that's,
as
I said the other day, I said, I don't know what's worse, knowing that the tariffs are not good
or
having people not trust their word.
It's tough for the markets having security.
But you mentioned the midterms, but I just want to ask you about where we are right now, okay, for the Democratic Party. And you would, but Democrat and Independent. But you called the brand of the Democratic Party toxic.
It's toxic.
All right. Is there anyone out there in the Democratic Party right now, as you look and you watched that, address to Congress, anybody who can lead that party?
Well, I think there will be. First of all, the leaders you have right now, you have Hakeem Jeffries leading the Democrat caucus in the Democrat Party in the House, and you have Chuck Schumer. They're responsible for the legislative branch. Is there someone else going to take over the executive, or will come within the legislative branch? Who knows? But I think midterms will be shuffling things out quite a bit when whatever happens and how strong or weak it may be. The only thing I've said about Democrats and the Democratic Party, they better figure how they lost people like me. They better figure how they lost moderate, centrist, fiscally responsible, socially compassionate. I love my Republican friends. I want to work with them, but I'm not afraid to respectfully disagree. You don't have to hate everybody. You don't have to demonize the other side. I belong to the American Party now because I couldn't take it any longer. That's
So
it.
the American Party. I mean, but you look out there. Gavin Newsom has been doing interviews with conservatives.
Sure.
He did one with Charlie Kirk, and they were talking about Democrats. That which kind of Democrats Charlie Kirk as a conservative liked, and he was raising questions. Oh, we talk about Joe Manchin or Bobby
We're
Kennedy.
talking about common sense, just common sense. If I can go home to my beautiful little town of Farmington, West Virginia, where I grew up, 500 people on a good day, holiday was 500, but if I can look them in the eye, and if it makes sense and I can explain it, I can vote for it. If it doesn't make sense and I can't go home and explain it, I can't vote for it or support it. So you can put all the pressure you want on me. You can't change me because I am who I am. And that's who most of Americans. Give them a job, an opportunity. Make sure that they're able to take care of their children. Things of the sort. Make sure it's safe. The president came in and he did exactly what he was saying, what he said. You did not elect the comforter in chief. You elected basically commander in chief, and he's hit the ground running. He basically went after the border, which I begged the Democrats. You can't have asylum at the border. You can't have catch and release. And it was horrible. But you know what? Nobody can say, we made a mistake. We made a mistake. We miscalculated this. And we want to work with our Republican friends, secure the border. But we have to have legal immigration because we're going to have a workforce that's here for the right reason. There's a lot of things they can do. But to make a spectacle of the president and his address to the nation, what I saw was
Governor
shameful.
Al Green?
Was shameful.
Yeah.
The whole thing was shameful. And not even be able to stand when this young little man who basically wants to be a police officer and protect us all couldn't even stand and clap for that. What happened to you? What happened to the decency and humanity in all of us? And I've said this, when I was there, I was the only one standing one time in 17 when the President Trump said some things I agreed with. And people were hissing and booing. And I'm thinking, that's so disrespectful to hiss and boo the president speaking. They were hissing and booing me. They weren't booing him. Yeah. So I know what it's like. Come on, people. Let's put some respect back in and the dignity and decorum in the life of this great country of ours. Let's be Americans first and put the country before the party. I'm begging them all to do that.
All right. Well, Senator, I appreciate it, and it's good to see you in person.
Oh, it's good to be back.
All right. I know. It's good to see you.